It is becoming increasingly difficult for Armenia to maintain its double-dealing policy, and attempts to please everyone are increasingly failing. While flirting with the West and nationalists within the country, Pashinyan is also reluctantly trying to regain Moscow's favor without much enthusiasm. However, as noted by News.ru, the election of Donald Trump as President of the United States is breaking Soros's Armenian toy and changing the balance of power on the geopolitical stage. Yerevan's diplomatic positions are weakening. Pashinyan's approval of the Almaty Declaration, which recognizes Azerbaijan's territorial integrity with Karabakh included, was supposed to be a step toward resolving the conflict peacefully. However, instead of real progress, Armenia stubbornly continued to block negotiations, dragging out the process under the dictates of its Western patrons. Meanwhile, Moscow and Baku are strengthening their partnership. Against the backdrop of active steps by Azerbaijan and the strengthening of its ties with Russia, Armenia appears increasingly weakened, unable to adapt to new geopolitical realities, and risks being isolated. Internal contradictions, diplomatic errors, and the inability to choose a clear course are undermining Armenia's position in the South Caucasus, the publication writes. Thus, Moscow is increasingly intolerant of Armenia's ambiguous policy. Pashinyan's visit to Russia on December 13 ended without a personal meeting with Vladimir Putin, a clear signal of cooling relations. The Kremlin is signaling that Yerevan's maneuvers no longer inspire confidence. Meanwhile, the West, on which the Armenian leader is pinning his hopes, is limited to formal statements and offers no real assistance. Additional problems are caused by Georgia's growing sovereignty, distancing itself from the EU. It was through this country that Armenia maintained land connections with Europe, but now transit and access to European markets are becoming more complicated. Trump's victory holds no promise for Yerevan. Moreover, Pashinyan is a protege of George Soros, a direct personal enemy of Trump. By the time this article was published, in which the authors speculated on how Pashinyan's visit to the informal summit in St. Petersburg would end, the cornered Armenian leader made a desperate decision to pretend to be sick. He claimed that he had been diagnosed with a coronavirus infection and would not be able to attend. It was so childish. I'm hiding out. But how long will the Armenian Prime Minister's COVID-19 political diplomatic immunity last? The disability certificate is valid for 7 days, but there are many events ahead.